Welcome back to SportsNetUSA.net. It's the beginning of softball season, community softball season, and we had the pleasure of being invited out here by Glendale Community College to watch the Vaqueros play a little softball earlier today. They took on Bakersfield College. I'm with Coach Pizzo, and of course, you've been around now for 5 years here at Glendale.
5 years as the head coach, really 11 years overall.
Yeah, and you came into a program. I'm trying to remember, we talked at Golden West College. I met you at Golden West College, and when we met the first time, I said, Coach, where are you getting the players at? And you said, Mark, I've got somebody that's returning that hasn't played softball in 5 years. I'm trying to find players. I'm trying to put teams again. That was 5 years ago. Now, 5 years later, you and I are back together here on SportsNetUSA.net, and you've got a true semblance of a program. Didn't do too bad last year. You're finding players that can play the game. You've got some talent on your team out there. And in this Bakersfield game today, it was just maybe an error here, or error there that could have kept you in this game. So, how has that 5 year progression gone since the last time I saw you at Golden West College?
I think it's gone really, really well. You know, one of the things that's really helped in my recruiting is I made a conscious effort to commit to a lot of working a lot of camps, travel ball camps and things like that, and met a lot of players through that avenue, and we've been able to recruit through there and broaden our spectrum of recruiting. And so that's one of the things I would point to as really enhancing the situation. But again, you got to make that commitment and be out there. And all summer long, that's what I'm doing.
Let's stick with recruiting just for a second, because my partner Corey Nealon and I on the ride up here, we were talking about recruiting in this area. And we talked to Casey, the coach over at Bakersfield College, and talked about recruiting in this area. And Corey Nealon said, really, the Los Angeles area is probably for high school players, basketball first, volleyball second, maybe softball third. Track and field could compete with it. I talked to Casey, the head coach at Bakersfield. She said, yeah, you're absolutely right. She goes, I have the pleasure of being in the Bakersfield area where I got 17 high schools to recruit from, and Mark, really nobody invades my territory. You just brought up recruiting. If this was Orange County, we'd be looking at tons of softball players looking to go and play at Cypress or Rancho Santiago or Fullerton College. So how difficult is it here in the LA market where softball may not be that number one high school sport?
Yeah. No, it's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. I don't want to be derogatory, but the city section of softball is not at the top level, and so we've been lucky enough to branch out. If you see our roster this year, we don't really have one local player that's Glendale, Burbank. We have a few from the San Fernando Valley, but we've been able to attract some players from more outlying areas. That's really where we've been able to bring up the level of our talent. And the recruiting rules have been made a little bit easier in the sense that now we can at least electronically contact players from the outside. We just can't have our first face-to-face with them other than at our school. And that's why I say these players that I meet at camps and things like that, we're able to broaden our scope in terms of getting players. And again, we need to do that because what you said is true. This area is not a hotbed. And we're also competing with many other junior colleges that aren't that far away where, like Coach Goodman said, Bakersfield, they're very, very fortunate to have they're the only game in town almost, for those schools.
When you look and you're building a program like you've done over the last 5 years here at Glendale College, and you're somebody who comes from club ball, so you've been around young ladies that are very talented that play the game. I mean, do you look for that student athlete that walks in and you say, wow, what an arm, what a range? Or do you sit there, and I've heard this from D1 coaches, I look for that student athlete that comes in that has a great attitude. What do you look for?
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but we wear warm-up shirts before we put our jerseys on before our games. And the back of our jersey says it all starts with attitude. And so that kind of answers your question. I mean, we definitely look for high character great attitude kids first. I mean, we obviously want athletes. We want kids that can play, and hopefully we can find the mix of both. But, you know, it doesn't do any good to have kids come in that might bring drama to the program, that might not be good students, and we work hard to get them ready to transfer from an athletic standpoint, and then academically they don't do their jobs or their work. So yeah, we're really looking for high character kids with great attitudes, leadership skills. There's so many things that we look for other than just the raw talent.
Well, I can tell you, if you're looking for a program to play softball at, this is one of the top areas to come to because of that. And all you had to do was come to this tournament and see the respect that this gentleman has as a coach. You've got a great turnout for this tournament. I mean, Long Beach City College, good program sitting there. Rio Hondo's got a great program. Oxnard's here. You name it. You had teams that showed up from all over. Says a lot about you as a coach. It really has to make you feel good about what this tournament has turned into.
Oh, it has, and this is the, you know, probably the kind of the culmination of everything, because this is the first time that we've actually had to use a second location because it's expanded so much. We have 18 teams for the first time, and yeah, it's wonderful to have all these teams here, and you know, I mean, it feels good to get that respect, but at the same time, we're grateful to all those great programs for coming and giving credibility to the tournament.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for being on the air with us, because you
Thank
talk
you
about
very
a
much.
great program. Glendale Community College and their softball program. Coach Pizzo does a wonderful job. I can't thank you enough for being a wonderful coach, a great mentor that the young ladies are on the field, and it'll always be a pleasure to come on up here and do any of your games here on Sportsnet USA.net.
Likewise, it's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thanks a lot.
Coach Pizzo from Glendale College.